Right, guys, we're currently in one of the classrooms which is being used as a nursery at the minute.
That's right, and this building was initially built for the older kids in sport, and we're using one classroom for the nursery children here. What we want to do is build a purpose-built nursery building for these children from 3 to 6 years old, so that they can have facilities that are suitable for them and also suitable for disabled children, inshallah. All right, we're on, bro. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
I'm gonna have to like do the AC on and off as we do the podcast.
Yeah, that's fine.
So
Is the podcast rolling right now?
it's rolling.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're just straight into it.
Yeah.
What's
How do you
else?
do it?
I
I'm intrigued, bro. I'm so excited to like swap notes.
How do I do it? I don't know.
Because you did a podcast recently with the Ahmed brother, didn't you?
Yeah.
How was that? Was that like two hosts talking to each other? Or was it like, did you feel like a guest?
because that was like two brothers talking to each other. So I done a little bit for his channel before the podcast, and then he done something for my channel. So it was almost just a straight continuation.
Okay. Was it like a collab episode? Who uploaded the episode?
He's uploaded his one already, and then my one I'm gonna upload either Sunday or maybe next week.
Okay, nice.
I haven't decided yet. See what I could do about that. But you know that one was interesting because it was all in one recording session, but two different episodes. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
There was no distinguishable moment between which episode's what.
No way.
So it's like me and you doing a podcast right now, and then you're uploading a segment for Freshly Grounded, and I'm uploading a segment for CEO Cast. That's how it was. So, yeah.
You know, bro, I've always like been anti doing a podcast at someone else's set. I think I've done it once or twice, but it was when I remember seeing a back in the day Joe Rogan episode, and he would never go be a guest on other people's podcasts, but he was a guest on someone's podcast, but they came to him and he was in his studio and he was sat in the host position, and like psychologically I'm just so used to seeing him in that position, being in his podcast, it just didn't fit. I couldn't watch it.
Yeah, it didn't sit the same.
Yeah, bro.
But do you know what, bro? This feels, I was saying to you on WhatsApp as well, this feels so nostalgic here. Seeing this here, seeing the whole set, all these little props, I feel like touching it because I've been watching your podcast, literally like a museum. I've been watching your podcast since I started. Before I started, and I was always thinking to myself, how cool would it be to go on Freshly Grounded? This is me saying this back in 2019, and alhamdulillah, here we are. So it's just
it's an honor to have you.
Yeah, just feel like I could take everything right now.
Bro, man, we're honestly nothing special, man. May Allah forgive us for what you don't know, man. But yeah, I saw your clip recently, man, when you said you mentioned Freshly Grounded. I thought that was very kind of you.
Which clip?
And I think it was on the episode with Ish.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
And he seems like a lovely guy as well, man. And so, yeah, I reached out, man. I was like, I appreciate it. And I did the same. There was another brother who recently, Kalo, who has Sadly Relatable.
Yeah.
And
with his sister, isn't it?
Yeah, and he played the Freshly Grounded game, so I reached out to him as well. But it's always lovely, man, because you kind of, I'm not very in the face of the scene. It's weird. I'll jump in, do my podcast, and I'm just all by myself all the time. I told you now, I calculate my time, and I spend 95% of my time in my studio. And so I kind of like that, but at the same time, it's nice then to be like, people are using the game, or like someone benefited from Freshly Grounded, and it always, it's like a nice moment, man.
I love that game thing that you came out with, you know.
You have to take one before you go.
Inshallah.
Yeah, I've got both. I've got the Ramadan game. I bought a bunch with me back from London.
You got what? So there's 2 games now?
There's a Ramadan version, and then there's which is just like a limited edition version, and then there's the game, which is somewhere.
Yeah, bro, you know how funny this is as well? Because I remember just thinking about it now, it just came to my head randomly. In what year was it? I think it was, you had scheduled an event for 2020, right?
Don't we? Maybe, yeah. And then in COVID,
yeah.
March,
And then it got cancelled because I remember me and my mate in work, we had booked tickets for it. We were like, because I put him onto your podcast. Okay. I used to watch it a lot, and then this event come up, and I was like, sick. Nice. We got to go, inshallah. So I bought the tickets, and then lockdown happened, and then I was like, oh man, that would have been proper good.
Bro, that was one of them. That was the most stressful 2 weeks ever, bro. Yeah. Because we were 2 weeks out from the tour, and we had done live events before, but this was our first tour, and bro, it was not cheap. And I was thinking, bro, how am I going to refund sponsors? I think in total we must have spent the London venue was at £12,000. The Manchester venue was something like 15,000. The Manchester venue was a joke.
How big was the Manchester venue?
But it was like, I can't remember how big it was. Maybe it was also probably about 2,000. But It was the fact, it was just an expensive venue. It was, now looking back on it, it was a ridiculous price. And that's why when we did the tour again, we didn't use that venue because we just was like, hold on a second, we was about to spend so much. And then the Birmingham venue was nice, and it was like $3,000. But all in all, bro, we probably spent about $30,000 just on venues, like deposits and stuff like that. And I was thinking, bro, bro, I haven't got that cash to just pay back. Sponsors and stuff, bro. But alhamdulillah, all our sponsors were like, yeah, it's cool, we get it. And I was like, we're gonna do a tour as soon as COVID's back. And then alhamdulillah, we managed to do it, but that was stressful. And it was like cancelled and everything. And some venues were like super relaxed. Like the relationship that we have with the London venue, amazing. They were like, yeah, we get it. They was like, how do you want us to do it? There were other venues that were like, they were just, you could tell they were just trying to look out for themselves. Yeah. They're like, oh no, technically speaking, like if you cancel it, we're not going to give you any of your money back. But if the government forces us to cancel it, then we can give you your money back. Whereas, and I was like, bro, that's so like cheeky, because it's like clearly ain't no one going to come to the event right now because there's a flipping. It was at the beginning, but the lockdown hadn't happened yet. Oh, is it? It was at the very beginning of the pandemic. Everyone's thinking, bro, it was at the point where you think, if I catch this, I'm dying. It was that point, bro. And everyone's panicking. So ain't no one coming to the event, no matter how good the event is. This is the point
where everyone's fighting over toilet rolls and stuff like that.
It was that point, bro. And they was telling me, I think it was a Birmingham event, they was telling me, if you cancel it, we're not giving you money back because technically you're cancelling it. Whereas the London venue, I rang, I was like, look, this is the situation. They were like, yeah, we get it. Cancel it. Here's your refund. So, bro, with the Birmingham venue, I think it was, I just had to play the long game of just hoping every day, bro. Remember every day the Prime Minister would do an announcement.
See what's what.
Bro,
updates.
Every day I'm thinking, please just cancel live events. Bro, he wasn't cancelling. And then one day he's like, and we're going to cancel live events. I was like, yes, bro. And then it'd be funny more money, bro. So.
No, watch that. I hope you don't mind. I'm probably getting up picking your brain a bit on tours and live events and all this sort of stuff on this podcast.
Bro. Of course.
Because something I've always been interested in wanting to do. But I think for me...
I heard, because you did I remember you did an episode with Mikey... Mikey Mellon once, and I heard you say that you wanted to do live events, and I was like, oh man, yeah, that would be cool, man. So
that was probably on his podcast. Do you know, it's something I've always wanted to do, but for some reason I think there's always that fear factor of you never having done something before, diving straight into the deep end. How many people did you have come to this event? How many people want to come? How many people, like, there's so many different factors where it's always been in the back of my mind where I was like, yeah, I want to do it, but all these little factors, I suppose fear factors, just hold me back. And so, I've never got around to actually doing it. So maybe, hopefully, sometime in the future, we can make one happen.
No, bro, you must. The idea that I had with my first live event was, I don't want it to be a money maker. It was our 100th episode, and I was like, just make it celebratory and just break even. And so we basically did, because the event the event in total cost £16,000, but we made £15,000, and so we basically broke even. We lost $1,000 on the festival.
See, my one, I've been looking at it differently. My one, I went to the event planning thing thinking, okay, cool, I'm gonna make 20-30 grand profit. Yeah, now obviously I see event, because what happened is then events became our main source of income became events. After that, but the first event, I was thinking the same thing as you. I don't know if people are going to. So I was like, right, I just want to prove that I can do an event. So I was like, as long as I break even, I just want to do a celebratory event, and I'll spend anything that I need to on like marketing, and I'll do a small venue and things like that. So, but we ended up doing a 400-man venue, sold it out straight away, and it was so much fun, bro. And so what I would say is, if you're worried about that, just do like a smaller venue. Like, bro, you're not gonna struggle to sell 250, 300 tickets. It's impossible, bro. Like 100 tickets are going to go on. Trust me, bro, you'll be fine. Yeah, so the venues. So I had been doing the venue shopping and all that sort of stuff. There's a venue out in Hertfordshire that I was looking to do. Venue in Stevenage side. So these are like 400-500 people events, like catered for 400-500 people. So I'm like, cool. Yeah. We can, inshallah, we can sell it. But then I think it all comes. I feel like for a podcast anyway, for a podcast event, it all comes down to who your guests are, and what you're going to be doing on that day in particular, and all that sort of stuff.
Kind of. That's how I used to think. But I used to. My idea was, let me just make the events guest heavy. But then the feedback we used to get was that people don't want like a live podcast, because if you think about how people consume a podcast, they don't consume it. They consume it passively while driving or whatever. And so you don't. If people listen to this right now, if they were to like be here, it would probably be difficult to listen to us for an hour, right?
Yeah.
So the idea. So those segments didn't do that well. And it was more like the fun stuff.
So I feel like that's traditionally podcasts, like that you watch or you listen to passively. Right. But I feel like we're now getting to a point of you know, a podcast and a show. So, you know, having high production and people actually watching it on their TVs and stuff like that.
That's true.
I'm not saying I'm of that caliber or anything, but, you know, I do try to spend a lot of time in the studio or making the podcast look 10 out of 10 for people to actually watch with their families or something and almost be not a TV show, but just more than just an audio experience and more than just listen to it in the car. I want people to sit down on Sundays and have them watch it. So to my point of that, it's like you want to find a middle ground of somewhat of a live podcast on stage, I suppose, and give the people what they watch, I suppose, every Sunday. I don't know.
Yeah, I like the idea of it. I don't think I can pull it off. So I would love to.
I think you definitely could.
No, but do you know what I really enjoy now? I feel like we figured out what we're good at with live events. And it's like there's like with the guests, it's more like we do like a fun little 5 or 10 minute segment where it'll be like a quiz or something like that. But generally speaking, I think what works really well is keynotes. So I like to prepare a talk, deliver it. And when you scripted it and you really thought about the audience, it comes out really well, and then have other keynote speakers. And so there's a guest we had on the podcast that I speak about all the time called Jamil Qureshi. And the reason I found him so inspiring is because for the guests on Fresh Uganda, he's like one of the like lesser known ones.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
But the guy's a psychologist who's worked with some of the number one athletes around the world, like Formula 1 drivers and stuff. Just picking his brain was nuts, bro. And so having someone like him, like delivering a 20-minute talk, talking about how you can like change your psychology to have like a winning mindset. Yeah. That for me is like a more powerful event.
Yeah. People love that as well. Yeah. People love that because, you know, if we look at it in a way we can both relate to it, psychology comes in business and anything you do in life really. So having that winning mindset, everyone's always looking for that because people are going through stuff in their life where they always want to constantly search for ways to improve themselves or ways to have that winning mindset so they know that eventually they're going to succeed in whatever they do. So that's amazing. But who's been the best guest you've had on the podcast?
Well, I actually want to ask you a very similar question, so I think there's going to be a lot of
I saw the question coming. You've got the mind telepathy going on right now.
Bro, it's like, obviously you can't relate it to the Quran, but you know when someone says, what's your favorite ayah of the Quran? It's like it's always changing, right? Depending on what your situation is. And so obviously you can't compare anything to that, but my answer always changes. So...
your answer always changes because you want everyone of your podcast guests to feel like, I'm Faisal's favorite today.
No. It does genuinely always change. Like, there's different categories. I think I have like a Mount Rushmore of like podcast guests. So there's this guy who I have on the podcast. It's almost always people who are less like known. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's a guy who I had regularly on the podcast called Adam Afghan. He is just a brother I met one time on a TV show that I was hosting, and he was talking about men's mental health. And the guy just has the best sense of humor I've ever met in anybody. And so then we started having him on pod, and he became a bit of regular, and we just like cracked so much joke. So Adam has to be one of my favorite. Then Jamil Qureshi has to be, because from the angle of like, so Jamil Qureshi was on, I saw him on, he was on Diary of a CEO, Steve Bartlett's podcast. I saw him on there. Contacted him, he came on our podcast, and that was a virtual episode, that was COVID times. And bro, it was just everything that he said, it was like it was scripted, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was, but that's not even bad. It's just that there was so much wisdom in every word that he was saying and things that he was explaining, and so that was really cool. And then I don't know, bro. There are two that come to mind straight away. But we've done like 300, over 350 episodes, bro. So I don't even know anymore.
Yeah, you've done a lot, mashallah. When did you start? What year?
2017. I started podcast in 2016.
Yeah.
By myself, and that was called The Next Phase. And then that was going from September to about December. And then in around October time, I met Sam, and then we started Fresh Uganda. So I've been podcasting since 2016.
Yeah, I remember. I don't think I've seen the. And actually, no wait, have I seen The Next Phase? I feel like I have. That was in your bedroom, right?
Yeah.
So I think I've seen maybe, because when I was doing my whole research into podcasts and all that sort of stuff, naturally because I'd be watching you, I wanted to see, where you've come from, what's what. So I'd seen obviously your first episode you and Sam shot.
Yeah.
And then I went back even further and I tried to find the episodes you had done yourself. So I think I found one in your bedroom.
I've like unlisted a lot of them, yeah. But you probably found like the one with my brother or something.
Maybe. And then just literally search from there and everything like that.
But okay, let's check it back. So you asked me the question, who's my favorite guest? Who's your favorite guest? I'm intrigued to know. I want to know like top 3, or not even top 3, but just 3 guests you really enjoyed. Because I know being on the other end of it is very hard to say like a number 1 guest. So I want to like 3 guests you've enjoyed.
Well, I always say it's like picking your favorite kid, right? Like it's a very hard thing to do. But off the back of that, I'm going to ask you, favorite guest in terms of like what they said and the knowledge they said on the podcast, or the story of how that guest got on the podcast?
Just the episode that you've enjoyed.
I don't know, man. There's loads of episodes.
I feel like as a host, you enjoy episodes, different episodes than what the audience might enjoy, right?
Yeah, definitely. There's been episodes where you enjoy it so much and you think it's going to bang and everything like that because everyone's going to love it, and then it doesn't do that great in terms of numbers. What episode that comes to my mind would I say? I'd really enjoyed the episode with Ish, funny enough, because that podcast probably went on for 3 hours. I don't know how much of it I actually cut out, but we just
cut the episodes down.
Only with if I get along with someone 10 out of 10 and then we start chatting, waffling away off camera in between little breaks, that was probably a really good episode, to be fair. Who else did I do? I like obviously the one with Tate. That was incredible, the first one.
So you done 2 now with him?
Yeah.
As in the most recent one was the second one.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first one that you did with Tristan.
Yeah, first one I done with Tristan.
Second one you did with Andrew.
Yeah, second one I did with Andrew, yeah. Tristan, do you know what? Tristan's one's up there as well. Because that one was
seemed like you really enjoyed that one.
That one honestly was straight free flow, no preparation, no nothing like that. And so it was just me and him just having a chat.
Did you know you were doing that one?
Not until the night before.
Okay, fine.
Not until the night before. So Andrew's one was organised, and then I messaged the content guy, the manager, whoever he is, and I said to him, yo, do you think Tristan would be down? And he was like, yeah, he'll come straight after Andrew.
Yeah, you don't get right.
Yeah, and then I messaged him in the morning, because I was thinking, okay, now I've got to do some sort of research preparation. I messaged him in the morning, I was like, can you tell Tristan to come an hour after Andrew leaves, so it gives me some time to do whatever. He turned up the second Andrew left, so I had no time to prepare or nothing like that. So it was just straight, cameras rolling, Tristan, how you doing? And then just thinking of anything I could think of off the top of my head.
Sometimes you're panicking because you can see the guest is ending and you're thinking, bro,
exactly.
What am I going to bring in?
That one, I literally just took a breather. And I was like, all right, let's just go free flow with this and see what happens. Yeah. And so that was actually a really enjoyable episode, just because of the way the conversation went, how it all played out, and there was no planning or nothing like that in that one. It was just relaxed. You know what I mean? I think the best ones are the ones where you're just relaxed and actually just enjoying yourself, chilling out. I think sometimes as a host, you can probably feel a little bit, not intimidated, but almost feel the pressure of having to live up to the job. Yeah. Because people are looking forward to this podcast a lot.
Well, the other thing I find is that it's not always so. Sometimes often a guest can come and they've got in their head a few things that they want to say, and they've like prepared, and you can tell because sometimes, like, let's say for example, if someone's like to you, bro, like, I want to have you on my podcast. You start thinking about things that you want to talk about, and you start telling yourself those stories in your head and stuff like that. And you can tell when a guest comes almost too prepared. Yeah. And you want to try and knock that down because you don't want those conversations. You don't want to have like super prepared conversations.
I noticed you done this with me in a sense, because I think I may have asked you what do you want to speak about. Yeah. And I think you either avoided the question or you just didn't say. You just said, I don't know, we'll speak about it on the day.
Yeah, I just said we'll just chop it off.
Which is better, because I'm like, if I had asked for questions, then I would have kind of been prepared as well. Think about, okay, Faisal's going to ask me how I started. Here's my answer. But I think, it's much better when you do natural free flow, because that's when it's actually a podcast. Yes. And I think people have taken the definition podcast and changed it into interview. Yes.
I hate interviews. Yeah. And sometimes my podcasts become interview. When I ask people their story, it's been very rare that I've enjoyed those episodes. And they've been the most successful episodes. But personally, bro, I am drained. It's not that I don't enjoy the person's story or I don't enjoy the person, but it's just the process don't enjoy interviewing, bro. And being like, oh, bro, right, so when did you start? And how was it? I just like a conversation. I like a good natter about this and then about that. And so I've always tried, like, Fresh Grind episodes are really raw. So we never edit the episodes. There'll be times where we take things out because we don't think it's appropriate. Maybe swear words or maybe like a joke that's a bit inappropriate, take it out.
Something you can't
Sometimes we made a joke and then like our audience called us out. Like sounds like me and Sam, like we like,
because you have that brotherly relationship, you're bound to have
we'll make a joke on mic, and someone audience will be like, that's a bit left for public.
It's just like, for example, a lot of people say me and Mikey, my brother, we should do.
Mikey's your brother?
Not brother, blood brother, but like brother in the sense of Islam brother. I don't know why it's a confusing one, but so everyone says we should do a joint podcast, but the thing is, if me and him are caught on camera together, it's not a good thing, because...
So I thought you guys, at first, I was like, I realized that you lot were in the same circle, because I saw like, was it like the same set, or you do the episodes together? And I didn't know if it was both your podcast or if you. So Mikey is a restaurant owner.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Fine, and now he does a podcast full time.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you. How did that all like? So how did the whole? I just said I didn't
Which
like
set are you
but I am
talking about?
intrigued as to like how did the whole podcast come about? At what point did it branch out to CEO Cast and it's like your thing? Did you have co-hosts and things like that? I'm intrigued by the.
What, between me and Mikey, or between like
just in general in CEO Cast? I guess like that comes into it. Right? The set that I'm talking about is like.
It's got like a green lounge chair sort of thing.
It's very loungy.
Yeah. So that's his restaurant, or that was his restaurant anyway.
It did look like potentially like a private room in a restaurant.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you watch the podcast where me and him done it, that was in his restaurant.
What was his restaurant?
It's called Melon.
Melon.
Okay, yeah. So it's a Turkish cuisine in East London, Chigwell,
nice.
or Essex, if you will.
Fine, so you guys were friends before?
So I had started my podcast.
Okay.
I'd seen that his restaurant was around the corner from my house and it was popping off. Everyone knew who it was and recognised it, blah, 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 blah. Went to the launch of that restaurant, managed to mutually get a connection with him. From there, messaged him to come on the podcast. I thought Mikey was 34 years old. So when I done a podcast with him, he told me he's 21 at the time.
No way.
I was like, what are you talking about? Like 21 years old. Like, you don't look it. You got a fake Turkish passport. I don't know what it is. And then off the back of that, we just had a good friendship. And then lockdown came. We started playing PS4, whatever, with each other. Then I had built my podcast studio in my house.
What were you doing prior to podcasting?
I was working as a network engineer at BT. So this is when I used to listen to Freshly Grounded a lot.
Okay.
Because just I had been going down I suppose you definitely helped me in a way of going down the route of Islam and spiritual path, because not that it was never like that before, but it got to a point where I was like, okay, I want to stop listening to music. I actually want to stop. But then what do I replace it with? I didn't really know too much about podcasts. And then I think the first ever. That's
amazing, by the way.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think the first ever podcast I maybe come across yours.
Bro, you know the fact that's kind of has like something like major to do with the birth of CEO Cast.
This is what I'm saying. This is why I said this is so nostalgic for me, because this is the birth of.
But even I'm not talking about. I'm talking about the fact that you was like, for Allah's sake, I want to leave music. Then this is like where it led you. Allah never. If you leave something for the sake of Allah, Allah will always replace it with something better. And that's such a cliche, bro, but it's so true.
Yeah, it is true.
And even what you're saying about like it, I think the goal is also just like being conscious of Allah. Like everyone's on different journeys. Everyone has like, and the ultimate goal is the same. But if we can just get people to become more conscious of Allah, bro, like in Arabic they say taqwa, bro. Once you're conscious, it's like that's like the key that unlocks, you know, the ability to just be like, all right, every move that I make, I've got this concept that, okay, Allah is watching. And that's all you need. Just need a bit of that, bro. And then that's how you slowly grow, right?
Yeah, exactly. I can't remember the first episode I watched of yours, but I watched a ton.
Okay.
I watched many with you and Sam, obviously, naturally, because you're both co-hosts.
Right.
I've watched many with you and your brother. And I loved it. Honestly, I loved it. Like, throughout the whole time at work, I was, rather than not listening to music, on the way to work, put Freshly Grounded on. At work, put Freshly Grounded on.
Wow.
I'll probably dive into a few different other podcasts, but then it got to a point of like, cool, I'm away from music now, alhamdulillah. I hate this job. I need to start a business. What business do I start? And then that's when I couldn't find a businessy podcast.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, cool. Not that I didn't even think I need to make one.
Yeah.
I just thought I need to speak to business owners.
Right.
And for whatever reason, I was just like, I need to bring a camera along. And then the first podcast I done was with one of my friends. Okay. Second podcast was a guy from Southend called Alex, and then literally just snowballed in from there. Alhamdulillah.
Story goes on. That's amazing. And the power of consistency, bro. Because it is one thing having an idea, but how many people do you know that start podcasts but they just don't continue it? And actually, they could have been very successful with it. And for the most part, the secret is consistency. Yeah. And that's what I was like. If I don't have anything else, as long as I have consistency, then I have something to fall back on. Because we didn't always have equipment. We were using that G7X. There's a G7X somewhere there in the corner there. The vlogging camera. Yeah. That was what we used to record podcasts on, and every 15 minutes it goes off. So I used to every 15 minutes go up and press record.
Yeah. And then that used to be the longest.
Bro, and sometimes I used to do GoPro. Yeah. But I was like, as long as, even if the episode's bad, if I could just do an episode every week, we can improve over time. And so that was the goal. And now, unfortunately, we've become less consistent because so much has been going on. Since the Dubai move, and then kids, and then like, you know, you start falling off of consistency. But I think once you've built a brand, you do get a bit of leverage in that sense. You can afford to
have a day off.
You can afford it a tiny bit because you've built a brand.
Because you've got that comfortability factor.
A tiny bit. It's like, look, you've done. I know I've done like 7-8 years in the game, which is like a decent amount of time, and so I'm very comfortable where we're at now. So I don't look at. I think at the beginning I would be like, it'll be like a competing thing for me. So I'd be like, this podcast started, I need to like get better numbers and stuff like that. And then over the last like 2 or 3 years, it's become like, I'm very happy with how we established ourselves in the podcast game, especially in our like kind of circle or scene. And now I enjoy like people speaking to me and asking me for advice and being able to help them and help them not make the mistakes that I made, and then seeing their success. And knowing that I was able to contribute to it in some way feels wholesome, and that's it now. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't feel as much ego anymore. Everybody always has ego, I guess. Like the goal is to defeat it, right? But I definitely feel like age has matured me in that sense.
Mashallah. How old are you now?
I'm 30 now, right? It was 30 last month.
Mashallah. Okay, so you're 4 years older than me. Sick.
Yeah, I hit 30 last month, man.
Mashallah.
That's like.
How old is Omar?
He's 32.
Okay, so
no, he's 31. He's 31.
So I have 1 year gap between you two.
There's a year and a half, yeah.
Yeah, not bad. But no, you're right with the consistency, man. And what I'm looking at right now, I feel like me and you are a lot alike in a way. Right. I've come here now, and there's no videographer behind the cameras or nothing like that. And whenever people come to my podcast studio, they always get shocked. Like, where's your videographer? Where's this? Where's that? I'm just like, what are you talking about? Like, it's just me and the cameras. Why do I need a videographer and all that sort of stuff? So to see it's still I suppose made at home, homemade production. It's still got the home feeling to it, which is sick. Yeah. And you got the old camera there. I've got the exact same thing on my shelf, my old camera that I used to cut out every 30 minutes. So it's just it's sick to be in an environment like
this. Bro,
you
know what? First of all, that I think fosters a really nice environment for conversation, because I used to notice that whenever there's like a third person in the room, sometimes it's fine, and other times it makes the conversation less warm. But also this is new because I only stopped having producers, I suppose, when I got to Dubai. We got to a point in the UK where we was always having producers. We had producers in the early days. Then there was a little bit of a period where we didn't. When we moved to Acton, I think an office in Acton, and then we went to Uxbridge, and then we had producing again. But I think. But do you know what the biggest difference was? The producer was most helpful actually for live switching, because I was like, I can't edit podcasts. But at that time there was no like AI. Yeah. So I either pressed record and I had one angle, and then it's fine because I just have one angle, I have audio, just export it. Yeah. And then if I had two angles like this, it got tough because it was like I used to have to sit and manually edit camera angles, and bro, I'm sure you've done that. It's ridiculous. There's no benefit in it. It's not productive. It takes too much time. I used to spend a whole day editing. Now I use Autopod.
Okay, yeah. We use exactly the same thing, yeah.
Bro, so then, but before Autopod, before I moved to Dubai, we used to have producers all the time, and we used to have live switching. So we had the whole setup, where the producer had a live switching
mini thing,
yeah. And then so when we didn't have a producer, like the COVID episodes and stuff, I'd have it here, and I used to switch so it's like camera 1 and camera 2, and just switch live.
But how can you do that and have the conversation?
I just got really good at it, bro. I was like sitting out here, like 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. I just know which one's which. But this is, boy, Autopod's changed the game, bro. And it's like 100% of the time it smashes it. Yeah. I've almost never had to make an edit on Autopod. Like I'll put this. That's why something like this episode can go out tonight. It's not gonna, because, bro, I'm going. I'll tell you actually where I'm going later, but I'm going somewhere to sort something out. The point is that otherwise I could just get an episode out straight away because of Autopod. And I always like to get out episodes straight away. I've noticed that you sit on episodes. I don't know how you can do it. Like, you were telling me that the Tristan Tate episode, you've had it obviously for a few weeks. Andrew Tate episode, you had that for a while, and you were like, I'm releasing it on Sunday. I was thinking, bro, how do you wait till Sunday to release an episode?
I've got episodes. I'm basically backlogged for 8 to 10 weeks.
That's amazing.
So, but it comes down to the whole thing of consistency again. Because I remember I used to record week by week.
Yeah.
And it was easier then because I was a smaller podcast then, and I can kind of get on people anyone who wants to come on, etc., all that sort of stuff. But now to keep the consistency, I can only do it as a backlog, and have it ready, all stacked up and ready to go in that way.
My thinking of it was, especially back in the day when I was like trying to be like aggressive with it, it was about speed. So it's like if I can be fast and I can be consistent, then necessarily care about quality, or not care about quality. I think there's like a standard that I wanted, and then if I fall, as long as I fall in that within that standard, I'm okay. But the speed thing was important to me because I was like, I just want to constantly be the first. I want to be there first. I want to be there first. I like before anything else, I could just like drop another episode, and like if I have a guest, quickly get the episode out. And that's what journalism is kind of like, isn't it? It's like being the first to break a story or something.
I think one of the things that I've missed in the time that the podcast has grown is when I was smaller and I used to release the episode on that same week that I record it. There used to be a bigger community behind it because I'll be on my phone saying, hey guys, today I'm with Faisal, recording this podcast. What questions you want to ask him? It's coming out on Sunday, which is only 2-3 days from now, let's just say, Now I can't do the same story. Hey guys, I'm doing this podcast. What do you want to ask him? It's coming out in 2 years.
Exactly.
Do you know what I'm saying? It doesn't hit the same. So people aren't really following like that. You're just hitting them with episodes. For example, I've got an episode with a brother called Urimi that was filmed back in, I think, January before in Umrah.
That might be around the same because I did an episode with Urimi around the same time. Was this when he was in Dubai?
No, I filmed it in UK. So when did you film it? In January? Or?
I can't remember, bro. We filmed it a few months back, and then it's such a rare thing for this to happen, but the footage got corrupt. It's always never happened to me. Footage just in the 350 plus episodes we've done, maybe 3 or 4 times we've had corrupt footage. But his whole camera angle was corrupt.
How do you react when you have corrupt footage or anything that's gone wrong?
Now I'm just like,
it is what it is.
It is what it is. Do you know what I mean, bro?
Before I used to stress.
I used to stress a lot.
I used to be, especially if it was a hard hitting guest or something like that, and you're thinking, no, I've just lost everything.
But even now, like I haven't learned my lesson, bro. Like I've got no audio backup being recorded.
Neither do I.
Normally, I do have my phone.
This exact same setup is the exact same setup I've got, and that's why I really like the setup. We've got the same Zoom, same cameras. I think
it's just simple,
simple, And you're like me in a way of like, you know, if it now it's to a point of if it messes up, it gets corrupt. Alhamdulillah, it is what it is. Like it's from Allah. So what can we do about that? Do you know what I mean? So sick, rate it.
When was the point with CEO Cast that you have you had moments where you've gone, wow, that's a big moment, or I didn't realize people was listening to it like that? I'll give you an example. So like there's a few times early in Fresh Ghana that happened was when I remember one time someone sent me a video from a barbershop in Indonesia and they had Fresh Ghana playing in the background.
Really?
In the early days. And I was like, what?
Yeah, that's sick.
I don't even, bro, I've never even been in Indonesia. I don't even know, I know nothing, bro, about that, like that world. Bro.
Yeah.
So that was cool. And then, there was few, I mean, one big moment was when I met the brother who owns Chaiwala. And
which one?
Well, the thing is, so when I met him, and even out to this day, when I first ever met him, he took me around his city and all the shop stuff. And he said to me at the time, I like to stay anonymous because people always speculate who is the true owner of Chaiwala, like the one who owns the whole thing. And because he used to get robbed, like his house has got robbed and stuff like that, and so he was like staying private. I don't know if I'm going to always stay private, but I am. And so I don't know if he's like changed his mind, and if he is, but ever since then I've always never said his name publicly. But it's the guy at the very top, the guy, I'm sure you know him, who started the whole brand, not the guy that has certain, like the.
Does his name begin with M or S?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And so, when I met him for the first time, and he said, "Bro, me and my business partners, we go on drives on the motorways just to listen to Rashid Gandhi. We go up and down."
Yeah.
I was like, raw. Like, and then another time I heard the co-founder of Just Eat listen. I was like, bro, these are like big names, bro. Do you know what I mean? So those few moments hit me like, wow, we're making an impact.
Yeah.
So what were those? Give me some of those moments.
I suppose it's probably similar sort of stories in the sense of like big companies reaching out or big companies listen to CEO Cast, or going to places like different countries and then someone, at least one person coming up saying, yo, like, I've seen your podcast, whether it be with Andrew Tate or whether it be with, I don't know, someone who wasn't as known or something like that. It's always hits home then. But even now, I don't think it's like, I don't have that feeling of it's there yet sort of thing. I haven't got the feeling of it's big. Maybe because I haven't had as many interactions as of recent, but I feel like there's always new heights that you can go to and all that sort of stuff.
For sure, there's new heights you can go to. But CEO Cast is big, man. And I think like it depends what you're measuring it against. I think there's a concept that I became very satisfied with once when I heard about it, and I'm going to really mess it up. But the person who explained it was this guy called Mufti Munir, right? And he's the sheikh from New York. I don't know if you've ever seen him. and he's like does Q&As regularly, and it's like let me show you a picture of or video of him. You might recognize him. No, that's not him. Mufti Muhammad. Let me find him, bro.
Yeah, go and take your time. Take your time.
Ibn Munir. Yeah, this guy. Have you ever seen this guy, bro?
All types of watches.
You seen him, but you have to watch his stuff. He answers like all questions, but the thing is he goes into topics that like people might find like difficult to talk about, but he's a good man. Anyway, so I actually had him on a podcast. It was one of our best episodes actually at the time. But he said something once, bro, where he said, someone asked him a question. First of all, he understands the youth. So you can even hear, bro, the way he speaks. Like, he
seems like he's in the youth anyway. He seems very young.
Bro, he seems very young. But he looks very young, but he's not. He's not young, but he's like, you'd be surprised. I think he's potentially in his 40s, bro.
Bro,
yeah.
you're gonna have to show me that video. Because he looked like he was 25.
I don't want to say that publicly, bro. No, he's not yet 25. Like, he's seasoned, bro, but along better. He looks good for his age. But I might be wrong. I don't want to offend the sheikh. But anyway, bro, he's like, anyway, the point is he does this thing where he's constantly answering questions. I'll send you a link to some of his stuff. And someone asked him a question. They was like, I can't remember what the concept was, but it could have been something like, I want to start a barber shop, but everyone else, for example, offers, like in order for it to be successful, like maybe they have to like play music in their shop, and I want to be able to like compete and actually get business, but I'm never going to be able to like get the same amount of business if I'm like stopping certain things that might be haram. That wasn't the question, but it was like that was the concept, right? And his answer was that essentially that sometimes, yes, you might need to do something that potentially could be a bit difficult or troublesome or a bit questionable, but in order to, for example, let's say, for example, no Muslims owned barbershops. Okay. Now, all the Muslims, all the mums who want to take their sons to a barbershop, they have to go to non-Muslim barbershops where there's that barber culture where they're talking about girls and whatever in front of a respectable Muslim woman wearing a hijab, just taking her son to she has to hear this conversation, she has to listen to rap music and stuff like that, right? Yeah. Or whatever. Like, I'm being very stereotypical by speaking about barbershop in that way. But the point is that his answer was like, so sometimes you have to like bite the bullet and maybe say, all right, for example, we have to be able to give all types of haircuts in order to have a barbershop so that the Muslims have somewhere where they can go and then that we can accommodate to them. However, he said sometimes also you just have to accept that as a Muslim, there's just so far I can go. And there's only so big I can be. And so he was like, you don't always have to compete with, for example, in our case, the mainstream or the non-Muslim, if it means that you have to just bite off a bit too much to be at a point where they will accept you. And when he said that, bro, I was like, rah, maybe it's okay to just be like the big fish in the small pond, as opposed to trying to be like to a point where it's like, I've had, because there was a point where we had like, we were getting a Jamil Qureshi's and like Ali Abdal and we still love getting big guests on, bro. Like we've had Sonny Bill Williams and people like that. But you can go down a point where you go, all right, well then to go big, I want to get, I don't know, someone who just like, so perhaps like doesn't fit with like your ethics and morals. And when I heard that, what he said, it kind of made sense to me. I was like, all right, cool, yeah, like I'm happy, I'm content now. Like maybe there's just so far I can go, but the Muslim should be content with that. Yeah. And my mindset before that was all that. Now, why can't I just be big? I think that's a good mindset to have, but I think you have to balance it with not at the cost of your religion or your ethics. No,
it's definitely. So, I agree with that, and I'll make sure, regardless of what I do, religion comes first. Right. Alhamdulillah, deen always comes first. But I think my personality type, I'll always just want to challenge myself just to see how far I can go, just to test my boundaries. Like,
you're not my brother.
Yeah, like I've just gone here. I want to see if I can go there, and once I'm there, I want to see where I can go from there. So, like in my head right now, all I can think about in my head, I promise you, is going to America just to see how far I can go over there, and make it work, and then inshallah conquer that whole US, and then from US, I'll know the next stage of going to this place or that place. For me, it's just the challenge, I suppose.
You wouldn't have the success that you have unless you had that mindset.
Yeah. I think
because
that's where it comes from.
like doing your job and be like, oh, bro, no, maybe I can't make it work. What's
Probably,
the point?
yeah.
You don't dream.
Probably.
And bro, if people dreaming is like the most important thing. You have to be able to dream.
Yeah, I think one thing that gives me fire as well is knowing that I have no plan B, and that's probably why it succeeded in the beginning as well, because I had no backup plan.
Yeah.
I got fired, so I don't know if I even mentioned this. I got fired from the job in the end, because of lockdown and all that sort of stuff.
No way.
So I just stopped turning up because they were telling us to work from home. I thought, see you later.
Yeah.
Stopped turning up, got fired. So because I got fired, and I wasn't making, I think at the time I maybe made my first £70 on YouTube, but to me there was no plan B. So now this has to work.
Right.
Otherwise, I'm khalas. I'm done.
That's
And my parents are going to get onto me, and then that's just going to go down a rabbit hole of my parents have been getting onto me my whole life.
What's your background?
Pakistani.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can't tell with you.
What do you mean?
At all. I would not be able to tell if you're.
Yeah, a lot of people were trying to say me I'm
Indian,
Bengali.
Obviously, you're
all that
Asian.
sort
You
of
can
stuff.
tell you're Asian. But
Well, you never know.
I wouldn't be able to tell like.
Yeah, no. So
Pakistani.
Pakistani from Kashmir.
Okay.
But obviously my parents, cliche ones of going to school, going to uni, all that sort of stuff. So I went to uni, dropped out twice, then I got to an apprenticeship, and they were like, okay, cool. But Jara's finally got something. He's going somewhere in his life, and then I never told him he got fired.
No way.
Because I was like, okay, they're gonna disown me straight out. So I let the podcast build up, and then eventually told me that man don't work anymore, nothing like that. But
how did you start making money from the podcast?
YouTube AdSense.
Did you and I imagine that's no longer is that still the primary income source?
No. Yeah, sponsors now.
So how did you go from? How did you transition into making money? Because money making is its own separate skill.
Mm-hmm.
And I know people who might even have 1 million followers, bro, but because they haven't learned the skill of making money, it's never really become easy. Like you have to almost like in some ways like build a funnel in some way, right, and stuff like that.
So do you know who actually changed my whole perspective and mindset on it?
Who?
Saf, Super Saf.
Really?
Yeah. So
Amazing.
I remember I'd done a podcast with him, right?
Okay.
And I think let's just say at the time,
He was just here like 2 days ago, bro.
is it?
Yeah,
I think he's somewhere.
I
He's
didn't
still
know.
in Dubai, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's just say in 1 month I had made £1,000 on YouTube AdSense, stuff like that. Oh no, sorry. Let's just say £1,000 altogether. Let's just say £800 in AdSense and £200 in sponsors.
In a month. I don't know. I have no knowledge of how much money a person can make on AdSense.
No. So I'm just giving this as a hypothetical example.
But what is an amount of money that someone can make on AdSense? Because we had moments where we turned it on, but then we turned it back off. So we've never.
Why?
The whole time ever had AdSense.
Why'd you turn it on and off? Or?
No, we tried it on and off for like a week or so, but ultimately we've never had AdSense. We've like maybe like gone, oh, shall we? And then we're like, nah. Yeah, bro, but I don't want to say. Okay, so it's personal preference. So I would never say to someone, how have you got AdSense? Because I spoke to shuyukh, like it's calm. Because you can obviously feel all like alcohol and gambling and stuff.
Yeah.
For me personally, bro, I've just never been satisfied with like with the ads that I've seen. So personally, it was like a personal preference. We'd take it here and it'll be like Allah will replace it. But that's not for me. That's not me saying, bro, how can you have AdSense? Because I can't sit here and say AdSense is not permissible or anything like that. And I know there's brothers that I know who have it and they smash it. And I think it's a sick way.
But I think given the nature of your content, you wouldn't have any ads from YouTube that would be, impermissible.
Well, if there's an ad, even if it's for socks, they're gonna have music in the background, and so it depends like how specific you want to go, and I'm not saying that is the right way of thinking or doing it. And like I said, I've had long conversations with shuyukh, some big shuyukh. I've said, look, Fresh Uganda is in a bit of a spot where if we just turned it on right now, it would change everything for us this month. And they've gone, like we don't see an issue with it.
So as far as I've seen with my content in general, the ads have been fine,
clean,
clean.
But what's the kind of money you can make from ads?
On podcasts, podcasts can make a lot because of
how much would you predict Fresh Uganda would have made monthly from ads if we had turned it on?
Can I check on YouTube quickly?
Yeah.
Or do you know the views you got in the last month or anything like that?
No, but like if you look in our like in the last month, it'll be tough because we've only had like 1 episode or 2 episodes in the last month. But generally speaking, it'd be good to get an idea.
So how many views would you say you get a month on average?
I have no. We don't check our analytics anymore, man.
Okay, let's
I know
just
in total we've got I think 18 million views.
That's sick. let's just say on average you can get a month, let's just say 30 to 50,000 views, yeah?
Okay.
On that, you could probably make... It's not great.
Okay.
It's not like amazing, but I'd probably say maybe just under or over $1,000, give or take.
People say like $1 CPM, like say $1 1,000 views. I remember reading that.
No, so the thing is, once again, it's all very dependent on what content you're making as well, because obviously.
And do they demonetize a lot of videos?
No.
Oh, they don't.
But it depends on what your niche is, I suppose. Because if you're talking about like I don't know, bags, how to make a bag, then your CPM will be lower. But then if you're in the finance world, I've seen some of these YouTubers the finance YouTubers CPMs, and whereas it's like, as you said, $1 compared for every 1,000.
Theirs could be like,
they get like 50 for every 1,000.
Makes sense.
So for video, let's just say I've got 10,000 views and they've got 10,000 views. If I'm talking about blankets, I've got, let's just say I've made £1,000. On their same 10,000 views, they probably made £100,000 just because they're in the finance sector and all that sort of stuff. So it's, I don't know, AdSense is so dependent. But bringing it back to the point,
bring back to monetization, learning the skill.
So I've done the episode with Saf, and he was like, you should aim for your overall income to be 90% sponsors and 10% AdSense.
Right. Okay.
And at the time, I remember my sponsors were like 10% and YouTube was 90%. And I was comfortable with that. I was happy with that. I was like, yeah, alhamdulillah, I made 200 quid from a sponsor, I was sick.
Yeah.
But he was like, no, flip the script and see what you can do from there. So now, alhamdulillah, it's pretty much just sponsors and AdSense. But I've taken inspiration from you, and I want to see what I can do once again. Events, or not necessarily the card game, but just kind of bring out some sort of
basically building a brand around it.
Yeah, build a whole brand around it. But I'm trying to think of things that actually resonate with the audience.
That's what you got to do. Yeah, and I think you kind of end up making success out of the things that you're the most passionate about, or that you, because when you're passionate about something, you do it great.
Yeah.
And so for us, that was live events, because I've always loved live events. I entered my first public speaking competition when I was in year 8.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so like that's always been fun to me.
Yeah.
And so like I said, bro, the first live event, it wasn't about making money. It was like, I want to break even. But then it became like, oh, this is our biggest money maker.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of made sense because it was the thing we were most passionate about. Of course, it was the thing that we were most passionate about, bro. So that's kind of like, I think that's how you got to maneuver it. It's like, what do I enjoy? Like, for example, the podcast became successful, I think, for you.
Because I loved it, I enjoyed it, yeah.
So if you love talking about business, you love understanding business, you love interviewing business people are going to see your passion through it.
Yeah.
I just love a good natter. And so I can't do an interview very well. Or I can't talk maybe like the ins and outs of business very well. But I can just have a bit of a laugh with someone. Yeah. And that's what I enjoy doing. And I think that's like where the success
that's the same. Like my ideal vision would be that the podcast monetizes itself. Yeah. And I don't need sponsors nor AdSense. I'm hoping that inshallah I'll find a product or something that people really enjoy and are constantly buying it, which is constantly building the business alongside, if not more than what AdSense and sponsors would do. But it's just about finding what that is. But I wanted to ask you, like your episodes are which are great, yeah, like just free flow, see where it goes and all that sort of stuff. So what do you actually qualify as a good episode? Like when you finish the episode right now, what makes you think, okay, that was a good episode, or that wasn't there, that wasn't all that? Like, what qualifies a good episode for you?
I think like when the conversation flows, it doesn't actually matter what the podcast is about. I think it matters that the conversation flows. It feels natural. It doesn't feel awkward for the listener, and if emotions come across, whether that's like somebody telling a story about something really sad and they're crying, or you just having a laugh, I think that's a successful podcast, because you're able to humanize it and people are listening and it's an easy listen for them. And I think when you're like, it goes quiet and you're trying to think of what the next question can be, that's always a podcast. I feel like my energy feels a bit drained at the end of those episodes. So for me, it's like the best episodes are where I'm just having a laugh with someone. And actually that always comes across like, bro, notoriously, unanimously, the favorite episode of our like most passionate guests is an episode where it's me and my two best friends, Onali and Kareem. Now these guys,
honoring what? Sorry,
Onali and Kareem.
Okay,
that's their names.
Now,
okay. It's not our most viewed episode, but it's by far the most commonly mentioned as as the best episode. I'll try and find that. I'll try and find the episode numbers I speak about it. And what's hilarious about that is that Onali and Kareem are not on socials. and now they are, but as in at the time they weren't.
Definitely weren't, yeah.
And they're not, even though they are because, like, for example, Only has a restaurant and stuff like that, but they're not so guys who like to be on socials at all. And yet that was the best episode. And the reason is, bro, is like it was like 11 o'clock at night. It was in my studio in West London, and I was like, yo, boy, should we just do an episode? Switched the camera on, and we just had a natter, bro. We ordered pizzas on there. We started eating. We were like, a lot of the episode was like us deciding what to order.
See, those are the best ones. Honestly, those are the best ones.
They're so hard to manufacture, bro.
Yeah, they are, but they're the best ones. Like me and who done it? I don't even know if it came out, but I done an episode with like very good friends. I think Mikey was on there, and I think my other brother Omar was on there as well. We done an episode, and it was just chilling. But the thing is, because it was too much of the mandem going on, if you know what I mean, it never came out.
No, but bro, you should put that out. Because, bro, you know, as a podcast listener, I find what you want is you want to be respected as an audience member. You don't want to be told to you guys, to those people, those of you who are listening, you want to be like the third person in the room.
Yeah.
And when you can make somebody feel like the third person in the room, I think that's when you made a successful episode. And that's actually, like, for me, being the greatest compliment. When somebody says to me, we listen to your episode, when we listen to your episode, it feels like I'm in the room. That feels nice to me. If I was like doing an interview, that would probably be like offensive. Well, I'm interviewing the guy. But in like when we're just like having a conversation, that feels nice. I think it's this episode. But I'm not sure.
Just a quick one, while you're finding that. Do you think podcasts are way too saturated now?
There was a time when I thought yes. Because I was like, oh, like everyone's starting a podcast. But now I don't necessarily think. Now I see it differently. I see podcasts like how I see like Instagram or TikTok. It'd be like you saying, oh, Instagram profiles are so oversaturated now. It's like, well, the default is everyone has Instagram. So now it's like, because everyone has a podcast, it's gone past. There was a time it was like, oh man, it's like everyone has a podcast. But now it's like, everyone has a podcast. It's like,
yeah, but that's what I'm saying though. That now it's just like, how do people?
Now it's just another platform.
Yeah, how do you manufacture content now? Now that there's so many podcasts, how do you?
I think now I've become, like I said, I've become content knowing that I just we have our community and we enjoy it, and I'm really happy with the mark that I was able to make early. That makes me feel content. I don't know why. Maybe it's the ego thing. Maybe I just feel like, maybe I feel like egotistically proud of the fact that we were very early and we had great episodes and we were able to sell out live events, and you know, it was a thing that we did.
Alhamdulillah.
But or maybe I'm genuinely proud of that, and it's not an ego thing. I don't know if I'll ever find out. But I'm now, or maybe it's like having kids changes you, bro. Is that maybe now that I have kids, I look at them and I'm like, oh wow, that's what life's about. And you just go, nothing else matters.
How old are your kids now?
4 and 2.
MashaAllah.
And so
okay, so you had your first when you was my age, pretty much 26ish.
Yeah, I got married at 20. I just turned 22. I basically got married at 21.
Yeah.
And then yeah, I had a kid about we were gonna have a kid. About 2 years later, we had a miscarriage, and then about a year after that, we had Zachariah. And so yeah, he's 4 now. Yeah, 26. Yeah, so 25. We must have been expecting. So yeah, 3 years after marriage.
And what's it like, family life in Dubai?
The best, bro.
Yeah. In what sense?
Oh, bro, it's different. First of all, from a safety aspect,
Mm-hmm.
the kids can go out. They're 4 and 2, bro, and they literally leave from the back door sometimes. I know it sounds weird, bro, but they'll literally go out the back door. I see the back doors open.
You got a garden as well?
Yeah, and then they'll be like, I'll be like, where's the kids? My wife will be like, oh, they've gone to the neighbours. Like, and so there's that aspect which I just wouldn't let happen.
No way, yeah.
But bro, mainly the schooling. So my son goes to a school where it's British curriculum, but it's Muslim school. And so they learn...
What, like a madrasa sort of thing?
No, it's just a Muslim school. Like, so they learn like maths, English, science, GCSEs, A-levels, but they have a Quran.
Okay, yeah, that's like my mate. My mate's he's a pilot for Emirates, and his son goes to school as well.
Okay, nice.
And he was saying that they have like Quran classes, part of the curriculum.
Do you know the name of that school?
I'm not too sure, to be honest with you. He lives in Maidan side, so
okay, fine.
Maybe around here. I don't think Maidan's far from here, is it?
Yeah, it might be. I think I know. It might be the same school.
Yeah,
but it's but that's a massive, bro. Because
they also learn about stories of the prophets and stuff like that.
Yeah, bro. My son's 4, and he just had his first Quran competition.
No way,
bro. 4, and I didn't like the school put him in it, and Yeah, bro. It's like you don't get that. Alhamdulillah, he came third in his year, and it was like a super proud moment, bro. I was like trying not to cry. Like I was at his assembly, like trying to hold it back. Like he was so shy. But with that stuff, like it completes you, man. That's the stuff that you get here. So there is the Islamic element, and as well as the safety. But like you can't belittle the Islamic element, bro. It's really like bro, Ramadan here, as you know, it's like the whole country is like, all right, there's less working hours. Iftar is lazy, you can't eat. So it's like, it's around him. And so, and yes, you can manufacture a lot of that at home, but the environment makes a big difference.
But at the same time, how long have you lived here for now?
2 years. It was my third Ramadan.
So your son's been here for pretty much 80% of his life.
Yeah. One of them has been here, for like almost all of his life.
I was going to say with the Ramadan thing, I feel like, I don't know, me personally, I prefer Ramadan in London.
But is that because family?
Yeah.
Ramadan is where the family's at.
Right now, this Ramadan, I'm quite alone, which I'm very independent, so I don't mind being alone. But I'm just thinking about iftar, having my mum making samosa, my sister making me mango lassi.
Bro, come to wine.
All of that, inshallah, bro, inshallah. But like, just like these small, or even like me and the boys linking up at night, going for Jaiwala, going for this, going for that. After Tarawih, chilling out till like 2, 3 in the morning. Not doing anything madness or anything, but just chilling.
Vibes.
Yeah, vibes. Playing football, whatever it is.
But you're not wrong. 100% you missed that. The family element, like that's what Ramadan's about, right? That's what we're going up on. And I found it, like my first Ramadan here, bro, I was by myself. And I had just got the keys to my house. And so I was in this house with no furniture, just a fridge. And I literally had nowhere to go. I was like going to iftar, I was going to the masjid for Maghrib and I had nowhere to go after. Yeah. And I actually felt quite sorry for myself. I was just coming home and like just like sitting on my floor eating iftar. And there was once or twice like people invite me around and stuff, but still you get that loneliness. And even now, you know, my in-laws are here right now, so that's nice. So we've got that feeling at the moment. But other than that, Royce, even like your nan, your grandparents, your friends, not everyone's going to come over here and spend Ramadan with you. So I think that never changes. If you're an expat, that never changes. That's
what I was saying to you earlier off camera as well. Like, I don't think I'd move here, at least at the bare minimum, without having a missus. Yeah. Just because the whole lonely factor and everything. Outside of Ramadan as well. Yeah. Because there's only so much you can do. Like everyone says, come to Dubai, smash out work, do this, do that. You're constantly going to be busy. There's constantly people you're going to meet and boys you can link up with, all that sort of stuff. But I don't think you can beat that element and that relationship factor with a woman. And being around her, coming home to her, whatever it may be. Do you know what I mean?
What, bro, 100. At the end of the day, no matter how much you're at the office grinding or you go out with the boys, you want to come home to your woman at the end of the day. Do you know what I mean?
Have a cup of jar with her and that, innit?
Bro, that's the thing you want to. That's your family. Not even just your family. You want to come home and, bro, as soon as when I enter my house and I see my kids or I know that they're sleeping and stuff and I see my family, bro, there's a sigh of relief that you take where you're like, I'm home. No matter how much so I get it, but also you're 26, bro, you're so young. And I know you probably hate that, people probably say it all the time, but you are young, and I think you've done such an incredible job at just like the way you hold yourself, and like building out a network and humbly. Do you know, in fact, bro, actually one of the things that I wanted to mention to you, I'm glad I remembered, is that one of the things I really love about you, and I think it comes across in camera, is your humility. And I think humility is one of the most beautiful and most attractive traits about any human. And I think you can see the humility in you because everybody, like I said, has an ego, and everybody wants to have a level of izzah, right, and like be seen in the right way. But there's when you can try and fight that and be honest and open about changes and your mistakes or even like your flaws. I think there's such a beauty in that, because when people try to hide that too much, it's like, well, we know that everybody's not perfect, so you trying to portray perfection, it's not believable. And so I've seen, just even in clips and stuff, where you've asked your interviewee a question, and it's a really genuine question. It's like, how did you do this? I'm trying to do that. I can't figure out. And when you see the humility in that, I think like it makes people love you, right? Because it's like, wow, this guy's like he's not trying to pull the wool over everyone's eyes.
Yeah, do you know what, alhamdulillah, I don't, it's funny because Sam said the same thing as well. I've done an episode of him and Josh when they were here. But he said the same thing as well. But yeah, I don't try to act or pretend anyone that I'm not. I'm just myself, and I ask questions simply off the back of my own curiosity half the time. Yes, I might do some research and, you know, find a question which I wouldn't conventionally normally ask, but most of the time, it's just me just wanting to know answers myself. Half this conversation has just been me trying to pick your brain. Maybe if it's about tours, maybe if it's about this, maybe it's about that. So, but alhamdulillah, I'm happy with that as well, because now I've built it to this point where, you know, because if I had started like that and almost put in a fake image or persona, you have to continue that for your whole time before you eventually crash.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's probably one of the reasons why I'm very, very content of where I am, even though I do want to challenge myself and stuff, but also very content because I'm comfortable in my own skin, because this is my own skin. This is how I am. And it's funny because people, whenever they meet me in real life as well, whether it be yourself, other people in the industry, or even like, you know, supporters and stuff, they always say the same thing, like, you're exactly how you are on camera and off camera. You just be like, yeah, why would it be any different? But then realize a lot of people are different on camera and off camera. I don't know if I've waffled on in my statement there, but yeah.
No, but it makes complete sense, Brian. It's hard to put that authenticity across because you do think to yourself, there's so many people watching.
Yeah.
But if you can tackle that and be yourself, which is, again, sounds like such a cliche, but it really is the solution. If you can be yourself, it's the best way to like actually build an audience, because people see like authenticity within you, which is a difficult thing to get across, especially nowadays, because everybody on social media is kind of like trying to chase like, what's the thing that's going to make me cool or accepted. But when you're like, I'm just going to do what I'm going to do, that always works out in the long run. Because the other thing is, when you see people online, not even just online, sorry, just like celebrities even, the ones who like have like longevity, it's like the ones who are just like, they're just being themselves, and sometimes they get hate for it, but then ultimately in the end, people just respect the fact that they're being themselves. Whereas you see people who have like spikes of success, and then it's like people build them up, but then like they break them down after.
Yeah. That, especially if you're putting on a fake persona online, that definitely happens, and I've seen it happen before. But as you said there, you know, people, if you're authentic within yourself and you're portraying that online as well, and you're just here to have fun along the ride, people will love you. Yes, people will hate you, so they'll go, but then more people will love you, and you're kind of building up a whole pile of supporters and fans, if you know what I mean. The hate will trickle out, but then eventually you'll be left with such a hardcore following of people who just like you. And I don't know, maybe that's why, going back to your question earlier on of like, when's the point of realizing CEO cost was big or anything, maybe it's because whenever I meet people or something like that, it's not even almost like a fan interaction, it's always a friendly interaction. Because always, if someone came up to me, if you was a stranger and you came up to me saying, yo bro, love your podcast, watch it all the time, blah 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 blah, my first thing is, oh, where you from, bro? And then I'll literally give them the whole time and build a connection. A lot of people have just taken the numbers like that as well. But maybe that's why, because it's more of friendship relationships rather than fan relationships, if that makes sense. So maybe that's why I don't see it. I don't know.
No, that's nice.
I don't know.
Do you feel like your personality has changed from the conversations that you've had? Because when you're a podcaster, you get this window into some elite minds, and it's incredible because like people would pay so much money for like an hour with that person, and you get into their mind, and it can be life changing, right?
Yeah.
Have you experienced yourself change the way you think?
Definitely. Like myself before CEO Cast, myself now, alhamdulillah, I would say night and day, in a sense of I've got much more of a clearer mind. I've got a much better, vision and way of challenging myself and open up myself in a lot more ways. I was way more introverted before, and I'm not extrovert now, but I know when to break the boundaries of introvert, extrovert, etc. Ask more questions, ask more intelligent things, be more open with people, have more of a conversation. Whereas before, it would be, if you saw me in a room, I wouldn't be the one to talk. I would just be one listening the whole time. Which is nothing wrong with listening, but if I wanted to know anything, I'd be relying on you asking the question.
Right.
And I wouldn't say anything if you didn't ask the question.
It's interesting that then the profession that you've ended up in, right? Like
it's funny, bro. It's funny. But yeah, alhamdulillah, it's good.
We had an episode with this guy. His name's Ricky Nuttall, and he was one of the firefighters who went to Grenfell. Mm-hmm. And it's our most viral clip of all time. And it's the clip where he talks about this book, and he read in this book but essentially, I said to him, like, how do you stop overthinking? That's something that I like struggle with. And
Something you struggle with.
well, I did at the time, but I don't anymore. And it was from this conversation, bro. So I said I struggle with overthinking, and he said, "Oh well, I really like this book. There's a book called The Horse, the Fox, the Boy, and the Mole, something like that. And it's meant to be a children's book, but people actually teach it in like business meetings and in academia, because there's quotes in that book that like are true, like just in life, right? And one of the quote in this book, basically, at one point, the boy and the horse are walking through the forest, and the boy says, "I can't see anything. Like, what my something like I can't see anything. Like, what am I going to do? I don't know where to go." And the horse says to the boy, "Well, can you see your next step?" And he says, "Yes." And the horse says, "Well, then just take that." And he said that story, bro. And first of all, it instantly got clipped by who's that motivation, the biggest motivation like channel on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok?
Wealth?
Wealth clipped it as well, but even bigger than Wealth.
Puberty? No, they're not really big.
It was like, it was called like, it's called, bro, like you'll know straight away, but it's like,
Motivational Hub, something like that.
no, it's like a big brand.
I'm not sure.
It's not just an Instagram page. If I type in motivation on YouTube, it might come up. No, but anyway, it got clipped by this one like channel that for some reason has gone over me, but it's like the biggest channel in like all of motivation to ever exist, basically.
Yeah.
And it got 100 million views.
Sure.
And then it got clipped by every other motivational channel.
Yeah, because they all just catch on to it, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I can't remember the
See,
name.
it's funny because my overthinking mind there, first thing first, comes into, as soon as you said just take that step, my first thing is well, how do you know it's the right step? What if there's something in that step that's disgusting? Or what if there's something in that step that's, you would never want to take that step again? Do you know what I mean?
Well, I think the one part of it is like just focusing on the next step. Because I think it's about overthinking, like, it's about like being overwhelmed as well. And the reason I say that changed my life is because, and it genuinely changed my life, is because it's actually quite interesting that that's our most viral clip, because in the moment it changed my life. And to this day, bro, that was 3 years ago or something. To this day, bro, when I feel overwhelmed, I literally physically out loud, I'm like, oh, no, I've got this. And I literally say to myself, I was like, okay, what's your next step? I actually say that, and I'm like, all right, my next step is do the podcast with Raheem. Right, just do that. Just do the podcast with Raheem, then I'll focus on the next step after that. So that was quite life-changing for me.
What quote would you say has changed your life completely?
Oh, there's so many.
If you had to live by one, a reflection point, and you realize that quote changed many, many things for you, what would it be? Like, I'll give you an example. The one that changed my perspective that I heard from somewhere, but I can't remember who from, was you can't be great at the start, but you have to start to be great.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And that one literally started everything for me, right? In terms of podcasts or anything that I do now, it's just pure down to that one quote there.
If it was one quote, I'd probably say there's a quote that says, it's by Jim Carrey, and he says, you can fail at the things that you don't love, so you might as well give it a shot at what you do. That benefited me a lot. I like quotes a lot, and I like quotes kind of regardless of who they're from, because I'm not like attached necessarily to the person.
That's what I'm saying. So like that quote that I just said there, I couldn't even remember who it's from. I couldn't care less about who it's from. It's just I just like
that's the point.
The thing. Yeah.
So it's really interesting you asking this question, because I love, like, there's a bunch of quotes that I love, and I've always write down a good quote that I love, because they motivate me, bro.
Yeah.
And so in that bag, I've actually made sure that the gift that we got you, that it has a quote on it, and I try and like put my favorite quotes in there. Do you want to read the quote, bro?
Yeah.
But I didn't even expect that.
Firstly, I appreciate this for you. You shouldn't have done this in the first place, but I appreciate it nonetheless.
But how funny is it that you mentioned quotes, bro? Because I want you to read this quote and give me your... Let me know what you think of it.
So where's the quote? Am I meant to be reading it?
I don't know, to be honest. I guess it's on the... Because it's like they did it for me, right? Like I just wrote it on the thing. I could guess it's
the
on
definitive home of luxury. I'm assuming it's in here maybe.
Yeah, that's not the gift. That's definitely the quote. The gift is in the big box.
So let's read it. This is it, I think. This is it.
Yeah.
Do what you can with what you have, where you are. Keep killing it, freshly grounded. Mashallah, that one's sick.
So the keep killing it is in the quote, but yeah, this is I really like this quote. It says,
the keep killing it wasn't part of the.
No, keep killing it is me. It says, do what you can with what you have, where you are. And I think that relates to anybody. I think that sometimes you can look at that and you can be overwhelmed, or you can be like stressed about work or something. You say, what can I do with what I have right now, with where I am right now?
Yeah.
And you can always do something. And so I thought maybe one day you will look at that when you're stressed and you say, well, what can I do right now?
I appreciate it. You know, in times like this here, when, like, for example, this quote here, is this a quote you stand by, yeah? So do what you can with what you have, where you are.
Yeah, I think so. I hope so.
In times like that, I can imagine you thinking of this quote in times where you're thinking, okay, what have I got around me? Where's the next place that I can go? Relating back to the what's the next step sort of thing, right? So when you do have like a next step you want to go to or something, and I suppose this is a business question in one way or another, how do you analyze and make that choice of what to do? Like, I understand, take the next step and do what you have and stuff, but just looking at your whole life and analyzing it, how do you know what to do?
So this is going to be a bit of like a coward's way out, because I'm going to answer it indirectly, but another quote that I really love is the quote by James Clear, which says, people don't rise to the level of their goals, they fall to the level of their systems.
Yeah.
And so the idea in my head is that if I just set my life up with systems in place, then I never have to be in that specific scenario, because there will always be a system for me. So the ultimate system is obviously Islam. So the first thing that happens is like, well, is there something here that's like like halal and haram? And if it's haram, then it's all right, the decisions are made for me.
Yeah.
But after that, I like to have systems set up where hopefully I can like decrease the amount of times where I don't know what to do at all. So without knowing like a specific scenario, I would say I like rely on my systems. That could be as small as like, I don't know, like I needed to do a podcast with Raheem, but my wife's booked a dentist appointment for my kid. What do? Well, I have a system for that, because it's impossible that could ever happen, because as soon as my kid has doctor's appointment, my wife will put it in our calendar. That then blocks out that time slot, so now I can't put out something in that time slot. However, it's funny because we've actually rescheduled the podcast like 5 times. The system didn't work this time.
Emirates and the IDs and stuff like that. The whole process is crazy.
Generally speaking, like things like that. So I'd say like I think like you could always set up more and more systems. If you find like holes in like your in your day where you think, well, this doesn't quite go well, what can you change about it? So that's like, I've had to iterate a lot with this space, for example, because when we moved out here to Dubai, I was thinking, well, it's going to be tough on the family because they're going to be in a whole new country. I want to be around them, but I also need to be separate from them when I'm working and stuff. And so then I was like, well, can I build like my dream space? But like that's almost like an extension of the house. And so then as long as like you have people who around you can respect that and that time and that space, I can like always like dark out into my studio, but at the same time I can quickly like pop back in as well and help the family and be around. So I think setting up systems is important. And now I do like, even like I got the whiteboard recently and I've set up like my station, like everything is set up in a way for me to be as functional as possible in this room.
I love it, so to be fair. I love it. Bro.
Over there you can see a stand, camera goes in that stand in the corner, that's for like anything I'm live streaming. This corner is for all of the reels that I create, and that's got a 16mm lens on it, so I can that like has a wide shot, so you can see the whiteboard. Behind it is my charging station, everything, all my chargers, everything, so everything's always on charge. And obviously this is the podcast thing. I built this wall so it's like multifunctional, so I put it on wheels, so that I can like basically move it around and have that set wherever I want it, but it's basically like another backdrop. But also it's on wheels because behind this is actually my cupboard where I put all my clothes.
So bro, me and you,
try to be as like functional as possible.
Me and you are the same in that way. If you see my studio, I've got both the brick walls where the shelves are.
Fine.
Those walls rotate and they move because I put them on wheels, so I can use it for space behind. Have different angles.
Have you recently moved into the studio, by the way?
Yeah, I only moved in there.
Congratulations.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. So I got the keys in September. And then I built it out and I finished it in October. Is this in
East London?
It's in Loughton, yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
nice.
So literally 5 minutes from my house. So if I'm in London, I'm only ever in that area.
Really?
Like my house, studio, my house, studio, my house, studio, and that is it.
So how are you finding being here now? Like I'm imagining like you're hopping in and out of Airbnbs and hotels and stuff.
Yeah, literally. So while I'm here, I'm trying to find an apartment where to live, inshallah. But the thing is, I want to find an apartment similar to you in a way where I want my studio in the house or in the apartment, just so it's easier. So that way, obviously, that means I've got to find at least a 2-3 bedroom.
What areas have you looked at? Have you been looking?
I haven't been looking actively. I mean, I've been looking online, not in person. Yeah. So I just need to find something. Because they've got loads of podcast studios out here, but then that would just get so expensive.
Oh yeah, man! A lot of people use the podcast studios here.
And the thing is as well,
it would get.
And no one has freshly grounded look because this is your own set,
right?
But I've seen so many podcasts, not just in Dubai, but they all got the same exact look because they're all filming. They're all in the same studios. Yeah. Like, alhamdulillah, my podcast, no one can have that look because it's in my studio.
Right.
But just to give you an example, I don't know if you've seen it. Yeah. So this wall
hold on
moves.
a second. This is not the studio that I've. So the Ish one was the same one?
Yeah, Ish is the same one, yeah.
But I don't remember that drawer. Are you using display?
What's display?
Oh, okay, fine, maybe not.
What is
like
it?
on there's like magnet posters on the walls.
No. So
posters.
these, I screwed them into the wall because I couldn't.
So are they real brick walls?
No. They're what they're called, faux bricks. So it's fake brick, basically.
That's lovely, man.
The only place in Birmingham I had to get them from.
Well, it's like wallpaper.
No, it's not wallpaper. It's like actual textured. They feel
it's like squares.
Yeah.
I've seen them, bro. They look really nice. I was actually thinking about getting them here. Yeah, the black version.
Bro, they're good. They're made of polystyrene and everything like that.
So you just stuck one square on at a time.
Yeah.
Yourself.
But it's you can't beat the look of that. In terms of wallpaper, won't give you that same the depth or anything. And this actually makes it look like proper real brick and everything. The only thing that's missing is I need to put CEO cost sign there.
How did it feel getting your silver plaque?
Oh, alhamdulillah, I felt great.
Nice,
you know
right?
that, yeah.
Even
Alhamdulillah, actually felt great. Yeah, it felt sick. But yeah, no. So on the other side of that, I've just got kind of like this, and then a chill out space, and then I love my cars and racing and stuff. So I built a racing simulator, put in there as well, and just I love it, man. So yeah, whenever I'm in London, just there, home, home. That's it, and then back to Dubai. So I'm trying to find a place in Dubai that I can also replicate that, but I don't know where.
You won't find it hard finding those items like that wallpaper and stuff.
Not the items, but I need the space.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because so let's just say I get a 3-bedroom place, yeah, inshallah. One of the rooms goes straight to the studio. One of the rooms becomes a bedroom, and then one of the rooms is a spare bedroom. But then my parents are gonna want to come, or my sister's gonna want to come. And if they all come at the same time, then I need 4-bedroom place now. Like, it's just
no. Well, first of all, it's very rare that you're going to fall into issues like that. Like, your sister obviously knows your parents. Like, they're going to be like, oh, I'm going or whatever. But even if everyone comes, you do figure it out. Like, right now, my dad's here and my in-laws are here. But, like, my dad was staying here and now he's gone to Abu Dhabi. And so you kind of, like, it just works out, bro. However, if it's people like, you know, your sister and your parents, first of all, you've got to remember that every place in Dubai comes with a maid's room. And
shove my sister in there.
Well, you say it's funny, but actually, we're not used to that in the UK. And so here, any place that says it's a 3-bed, it's actually a 4-bed.
Yeah. Have you got a maid's room here as well?
Yeah, of course. And so it's any place comes with a maid's room. And so they call it a maid's room, but
we call it a box room.
From the UK, it's a box room.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So like, I, for example, have grown up. My mum's house is a 3-bedroom house. It's 2 bedrooms and a box room.
I grew up in a box room as well.
Yeah,
literally.
And so it's the same size, bro.
The maid's rooms have
en suite.
Yeah,
they're en suite. So this is a 3-bedroom house, but it's technically a 4-bedroom house, right? So if you get 3-bed and one of them spare room, you're gonna have a maid's room. You got 2 spare rooms. If it's your sister, just put a single bed in there. You're fine. Yeah. You've also got a sofa. You can turn on the sofa bed. Like, you'll figure it out. I wouldn't go like all in and grab something crazy. Like, if I didn't have kids and stuff, I wouldn't have got a house.
Have you always lived here?
Since I moved to Dubai. Yeah, bro. Like I've been telling everyone who comes here, bro, who has a wife and kids, I'm like, come here by yourself, get the house sorted, get the keys, and then go back, get them, and then move them straight into their own home. Do you know what I mean? And have some beds and have the curtains and stuff already done. Because otherwise, you're moving your family to an Airbnb. They don't know where they are. You get delays with, like, for example, your contract and stuff like that. It becomes difficult.
Do you know, alhamdulillah, this place here, as in the area as well, I think it's actually quite nice, you know.
It's really nice. It's really nice.
Because you're only 20 minutes down the road from, you know, mall and all that sort of stuff. Dubai is anywhere you go, it's 20 minutes away from each other. But this is actually still, it's not like as far as Damac Hills, for example.
No, this is a lovely area, yeah.
But it's very nice as well, and no speed limits, so no speed cameras on the way.
No, you could do 130 all the way here, basically, if you go on Emirates Road.
Yeah,
it's nice.
So it's not
you
bad.
should check it out. You should check it out when you're doing your search. But yeah, bro, I would say move here sooner. Actually, I'm going to go against what I said earlier. I said you should get married and then come here. I was agreeing with you, but actually I disagree. I think, especially in this day and age of technology, bro, like you're going to end up marrying someone that you either know, like someone you know who knows someone or whatever through the means of technology. Like it's not going to, I don't think, hinder you that much. I think if you can set yourself up here.
Well, no, but that's exactly what I'm trying to do now. That's why I'm doing the Emirates ID, and that's why, And then I'm gonna get the apartment sorted.
So have you done it through setting up a company?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've set up.
Did you do IFSA?
Sorry.
IFSA.
What's that?
Like, where was your free zone? Are you doing free zone?
Yeah.
Okay, fine, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I set up the company.
So do you have to go to Sharjah to do all of your stuff?
I went to Sharjah for my medicals.
Okay.
Fingerprint is Bur Dubai or somewhere near there. Yeah.
Nice.
Which ain't bad. But while I've got that, then I can look for the apartments on online and all that sort of stuff from the UK. And alhamdulillah, I've got people here who will go look at it, or people who help me out for actually getting it.
Have you built a nice network here?
Yeah, very, very solid, alhamdulillah.
When you came here initially, did you have that network or?
When I came here as what? Podcast or as family, or like what are we talking?
No, so like you've been in and out of Dubai for a while doing episodes and stuff like that. So at the beginning of that journey, had you already made those relationships kind of from the UK, and then you came and you connected with those people? Like, did you build a network here while you were here?
Both. Okay. So obviously, when I first came here with the idea of bringing the podcast here, I'd done a few, episodes. For example, are you familiar with TamCon?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've done an episode with him.
Nice.
That opened the doors for his network.
That was at his gym.
That was at his gym, yeah. Then there's loads of expats that live here. Met them. And so I've always just managed to build a massive network mutually and all that sort of stuff. So, alhamdulillah, it's been good. Like, constantly growing, which is why I love about Dubai, because people are so open to network and stuff like that.
You bump into people that just like walking across the road, bro. You just start chatting. Yeah, it's so nice, bro. That's how I think that's a beautiful thing about here. Like, back in the UK, it's like everyone's like ends up getting super closed off.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, listen, I know it's close to iftar time as well, so I'll let you go.
What is the time?
I genuinely, it's 5 o'clock. You got yourself an hour and a half.
Yeah. Well, so do you. You're fasting as well.
Yeah, that's true. I was actually going to ask you to fast because I know you're traveling, so you don't necessarily need to be, right? But
the thing is, I'd love to have that as an excuse, but I've been here for 6 weeks now, so traveling is out the window.
I mean, I follow the opinion that you're traveling until you settled in a home. So there's different opinions on it. Some like the safe opinion is what you're saying. I heard it was
like the 14-day thing or something. Well,
some say 4 days, some days 12 days. But there's different valid opinions. So it's all like valid essentially. But and you're definitely staying on the safe side. But for me, there's no time limit to traveling. It's once you've settled. If you're still living out of the suitcase and you're sleeping wherever you lay your hat, you're kind of a traveler. But you're definitely doing the same thing. Do not stop fasting now. You have to make them up anyway.
To be fair, the rosé hair ain't bad. On bad.
Plus, you have to make them up.
Yeah,
and you want to get the reward in Ramadan stuff. And the last thing you want is to Allah fasts, bro. Like, you don't know if you're going to be alive after Ramadan, bro.
I'm not going to fast on Sunday, which is the day I go back traveling.
Yeah,
that's when I'm actually traveling, not on a plane.
Yeah, because it's going to be
Yeah, so I'll probably have to make up one rosé, inshallah, when I'm back. But other than that, I'll do it here. It's a minor. And I actually like it because, generally speaking, outside of Ramadan, I only eat one meal a day anyway. In the evening. I'll have drinks or something, but I only have one meal a day, so I'm all right. Good. Not that bad. So
alhamdulillah, it's good, man. Ramadan's been good for me from like a weight loss perspective. Raheem, bro, it's amazing.
I appreciate you having me on, bro. This has been
like do it again sometime,
inshallah. Amazing to be on. I'm going to take the registration play home with me.
But I'm going to give you the games as well, inshallah, yeah? Guys, thanks so much for listening to this episode of Freshly Guarded. It's been with the one and only CEO cast, and inshallah, we'll see you next time. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.